And this is who we're doing it for. So we're specifically targeted at 15 to 25-year-olds. Each of these people that you see have been involved in youth advisory boards, in coming to design studios, in coming to monthly collabs, contributing to anthologies or contributing to exhibitions that we've run in the lead up. This is going to sound terrible. What we're not doing is encouraging families with young children. Because if I want a 16-year-old to walk into my space and the space is filled with 3-year-olds, they're never coming back. And so we've been quite deliberate about always designing for a 15 to 25-year-old audience, trying to make it safe, so if you bring younger kids in, they're not going to be damaged by the experience, but having it risky enough and having it provocative enough and having it challenging enough intellectually to maintain the curiosity and excitement of that older age group. Because there is actually plenty of STEM content around our society for the younger groups. You know, there are programs at libraries and kindergartens, there is lots on offer for primary, there's still a fair amount of offer for junior secondary. But then we get serious in year 10 to 12, and by the time you get to university, you're a science person or you're not. And they're the ones that I really care about. They're the ones that I want to say, you don't have to make those decisions. You can identify as being interested in science in a whole range of ways, and through MOD we can keep you engaged for longer. So we want to be a place to be, which means as a 15-year-old you can come and hang out. And we want you to be inspired about the potential that science and technology can have for your life. So I keep sort of saying it's for the marketing student, and making them realise that actually being really good at maths and stats is critical as we move into a world where big data is going to drive a lot of our decision making. I see people adding it as their profile picture, which means I know that we've got some resonance for people. And for me, it's okay if that's all they do when they come in. If they've had a really good time and they've connected and they feel like this is something that they want to make part of their story, then what I'm doing there is I'm changing their values and identity around being a science person. Because I'm saying no matter if you've taken this in or not, you've come to this place and you've enjoyed it, you don't have to reject science as I'm not a science person, that's not for me. You know, if in 10 years' time someone comes to me and say that they've designed something because they were thinking about birds, or they've designed something because they were thinking about how bees waggle their butts when they're navigating to honey, that's the big thing for me. You know, does this stick with you long enough for you to be inspired by it later? Somebody asked me why these topics, why perception with Modify, why waging peace, why hedonism? You know, and the university quite rightly said, why aren't we using themes that showcase our research questions? Most young people aren't concerned with a big research question. I'm thinking about a question that they could stay up to 2 a.m. in the morning discussing with their friends at a bar or at a sleepover. You know, the sorts of things that give you kind of tension, the sorts of things that are unresolved, the sorts of things that then allow you to have those other discussions about where research is headed, but in a way that's relevant for them. So as I said, we're designing for 15 to 25-year-olds. We want to inspire them. We want it to be risky and we want it to be challenging. Are we successful? It's early days, but so far we're getting about 400 to 500 people through on each weekend day, so about 1,000 people over the weekend, and probably another 500 to 1,000 through during the week, about between 100 and 300 people coming through each weekday. I don't know what numbers we were supposed to get. I'm really happy with those numbers because it means there's always somebody in the gallery. And there's always somebody having discussions around the sorts of things we're doing. About 10% of our visitors answer our survey, and of that, our biggest demographic is 15 to 25-year-olds. My favourite feedback of all time so far was on the first weekend. I came in, there was a 14-year-old girl sitting on one of our ottomans, and her dad was playing at the screen, and her younger sisters were doing something else, and she had a T-shirt that said, "Don't talk to me," on the back of it. And she just lay back on the ottoman and said, "I love this place." And so I'm sitting there going, do I talk to her? I don't know. So I kind of said, well, why do you love it? And she just kind of clammed up a little bit, and then she said, I just like sitting here and looking at things, and I just like exploring things. And I thought she's just summed up a place to be and be inspired for me in her own words, and that's fantastic. And it's really exciting to see that audience come through. So my favourite, one of my favourite audience observations was a Tuesday night at 5 o'clock, standing in the foyer. These 3 guys lope in, tall guys, probably 21, 22, hands in their pockets, hoodies, kind of loping in. They went straight into the augmented reality exhibition. They downloaded the app and they were exploring the art. And my marketing manager just looked at me and went, "How do you get them into a gallery? Like, they didn't look like gallery goers." And then I thought maybe they're just in because it's kind of cool art, but then they went upstairs and explored the pain chairs. So that to me is a really good signal that we're not just attracting people who love science, we're not just attracting people who love gallery spaces or museums or science centres. We're attracting 15 to 25-year-olds and we're making them curious about where the world is going and what they want to achieve. And so I'm really excited to share it with you. I'm really excited to be part of the South Australian landscape and to provide something that is exciting and compelling enough to start a different conversation about what we are capable of here and why what we're doing and what you're doing is going to make a difference in the long term.